Yeah.
Well, if we combine the beautiful country of Norway with some of the most evil and foul things that the human mind has come up with, and some music, then we have the genre black metal.
Alright. Okay, so that's the topic for this podcast.
Discussion.
Sorry. Excuse me. Okay, so we'll start out with a historical outline of the genre, just to look back before we look at the scene today.
One thing, we have a
Yeah.
special guest today.
Oh yeah, we do. He's not in the band, but he may be sometime.
Really?
And you play Espen's instrument, so this is this is awkward.
It's really not good, no.
Well, I mean, many bands have 2 guitars, why not 2 basses?
Indeed. Well, no, I don't think so.
So much useless at one time.
Does anyone want a cookie?
Thank you.
They go.
I'll take a cookie.
Thank you.
Right. That means that I can talk uninterrupted for a while. Okay, so the history of black metal is often put into 2 waves. The first one was in the 80s, when thrash metal bands and death metal bands started bringing in darker themes into their music. Bands like Venom with the album titled
Black metal.
Yeah. And would you say that's black metal?
Not really.
Not really.
At least not in a modern context. It's important for the development of what would become black metal, but
Right.
As a genre, I would probably say it's more heavier new wave of British or
Yeah.
or pre-thrash maybe.
And at times standard heavy metal,
Yeah.
traditional. So the themes were brought into the music in the 80s with bands like Venom and also the style, just what they wore and cover art and stuff like that.
Other bands that influenced that was of course Merciful Fate
Right.
with King Diamond.
Yeah, really dark themes and with the makeup, or was that just King Diamond? Or
I think that's mostly King Diamond, but well, he was the singer of the band, so
yeah, we could mention Kiss in that context.
yeah.
They were early with the makeup and Gene Simmons being kind of a demon.
Of course, I don't think they called it corpse paint.
No, that's new with black metal.
In the early ways, we should also mention Twisted Sister, actually, for the musical aspect.
Burn in Hell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that song. I think that song was a big influence on the music.
Right.
Just how dark it feels,
Yeah.
especially for such a early band.
Yeah, it has a slow groove and also the quick.
Yeah, and the vocals in the start, of course, it's more like.
Yeah.
You have kind of get that feel like that could easily be a black metal song.
Right.
Which it ended up being with when David Barger covered it.
That's true. It's a good version of the song. Right, also mentioned Celtic Frost, Bathory, Hellhammer.
Yeah.
Part of the first wave. Thrash and death metal bands. that brought in these themes.
Yeah, bands like Bathory actually had more of the sound, I would say.
More of the sound. Right.
Yeah, more of the sound we would consider black metal now.
Right. And less Satanism and more paganism, perhaps, which is more like Viking-oriented.
But that can also be applied to many of the bands in the second wave.
Right. So like Enslaved, one of the early
Enslaved,
ones.
Burzum.
Leans more to the occult than Satanism.
Occult, yeah, that as well, I think. But definitely some Viking themes in early In Flames. No, Flames. Edit that shit out.
No.
Enslaved. No editing, sorry. Right, and then we have the 90s coming around and some exciting things happening in Norway. Newsworthy things.
Yeah.
So what's the evolution there?
Well,
And that's the second wave, right?
yeah. Some kids felt like the death metal stuff used to be cool, but it kind of became mainstream in a way.
Right.
And some of them were like, I think the theme should be more important in the music.
Right.
And some of them just wanted to be really edgy.
Yeah, edgy.
Yeah.
That's definitely an important word, because that's kind of the environment where mayhem kind of grew out of. But it's interesting that you mentioned death metal, because if you listen to the first two, and especially the first Dark Throne album, it's just a straight up technical death metal.
I think they said something along the lines that they didn't like how technical death metal ended up becoming.
Right.
They wanted more of just the brutal stuff, without all the technical solos and
In '94 there were some church burnings and murders, and that's when, I guess, when black metal became mainstream, like world known, and then we can talk about a second wave really hitting the musicals world.
Yeah, because it was mostly Norway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The scene was mostly just known in Norway.
Right.
Among the underground people.
Yeah, very underground, and then these things happen,
Yeah.
those horrible things, and people get interested in the genre all across the world, and also a British music magazine contacted Varg around these times, and he wanted to know more about this after some church burnings, and he was happy to sort of offer up all the information and these stupid photos with the knives and stuff.
Varg is an interesting person, and we could easily make an entire discussion just about him.
Yeah.
That could be its own thing.
Okay, so why Norway? We could talk about that.
You guys are kind of older than me, so I guess you would know more about that, maybe, around those times.
Well, we're still kind of young. Well, one thing is the climate and the weather and the landscape all around, right?
Mountains and
darkness.
and the
Cliche
sea.
words.
Yeah.
And winters, and also it's kind of seen as a youth rebellion. So Norway was in the 90s and probably still is the safest place to live and grow up.
At least
so
one
that
of them.
gets, if you're a young man, that can get very boring, and society has an idea of what you should do with your life from the day you're born to the day you die. So you could see it as a kind of a youth rebellion, especially if you look at the scene around the mayhem. The whole scene at that time, just kind of edgy teens
Yeah.
one-upping each other on doing extreme things.
Like it was one scene, but I think there were two sides to the scene. Some of the bands just wanted to play the music,
Right.
and some of the bands wanted to do something more
Yeah.
Yeah.
and actually tried to rebel.
Yeah. And there was kind of ideology involved as well.
Yeah,
So we just laugh about Satanism today and black metal, and nobody believes in that. But you know, those teenagers were actually burning churches in the name of Satan or in the name of paganism, right? Which
yeah,
Well, at least some of them, some of the churches were burned for Satan.
right.
I think probably most of them were because of peer pressure.
Peer pressure, indeed.
or something along the lines of "he did it, so I must do it."
Yeah. Or how do I one-up this
Yeah.
move?
Well, they did figure out that later with murder.
Yeah. That was it, and years and years in prison.
Yeah,
Who would have thought?
Don't do murder, kids.
Okay, so we have both Satanism and the Viking themes in black metal.
yeah,
I guess the bands in Bergen were more focused on that. Enslaved, I mentioned them.
yeah. Bursum.
Yeah, yeah, and the themes of Bursum is kind of different.
Yeah,
Again, it's Tolkien.
yeah, of course, but yeah, more along the fantasy aspect.
Yeah,
Also immortal with the fantasy aspects,
right.
where they invented their own fantasy world to write their lyrics around.
Oh, right.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess we relate to that.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that.
Okay, so what's so appealing about black metal? What's good about black metal?
It's different than a lot of music.
Alright.
Well, one of the first rules is it's not supposed to sound good.
Right, it can be ugly.
Yeah, it's supposed to be ugly.
It's supposed to be ugly. Right.
The production doesn't really have much to say.
No. Well, it's
At
supposed
least-
to be not very polished. And
Yeah, at least the early stuff.
Yeah.
Later on we see, well, good production.
Yeah, we talk about the third wave with Dimmu Borgir and high-end production, and also mixing in orchestras and
Yeah, the
synths and
symphonic black metal.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think is so good about?
Well, I mean, you can mix a whole lot of emotions that you might not find in other genres of music. It's a lot of aggression and also sadness.
Right.
You can get
That's true.
an outlet for
Yeah.
such feelings.
Cathartic music.
Yeah.
I think Vindir is very good there.
Mm.
With lots of emotions and different themes
Yeah.
in their songs.
Mm. And that's more on the Viking themes as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And he actually used songs from the old church books.
Yeah, you used a lot of traditional folk songs.
Yeah. And that mixed very well into black metal as a genre.
Yeah.
Very distinctly Norwegian, we can say there.
And also, the themes are appealing often.
Right. Mm.
It's it's cool to sing about Satan.
Yeah. It's edgy.
Yeah, and it attracts a crowd that wants to be edgy.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of a dark fantasy aspect, right? It's not
Yeah.
always fun with power metal and unicorns. So
Yeah, sometimes you just want to sing about slaughtering your enemies or exploring that dark dungeon.
right. And it's ideal with that type of music. Right?
Yeah,
Expressing those types of themes musically much better than, for example, power metal could.
yeah.
Right, and as you mentioned, I'm looking at my notes here.
Cheat sheet.
It can be beautiful and melancholy at the same time as it is ugly and extreme.
Yeah.
Both in the just mixing melodies and ugly riffs and ugly production, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And often it often has nice grooves as well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something they picked up from Black Sabbath.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
A lot of the black metal drummers are known to be extremely good drummers
Yeah.
with distinctive sounds
Right.
or styles,
Yeah,
like
styles.
Frost from Satyricon
Yeah.
and Hellhammer.
Yeah, definitely very technically skilled.
Yeah,
And also it's a lot of it, the second wave stuff, it's primitive,
yeah,
very simple, just a blast beat. For example, if you think about Transylvanian Hunger by
yeah.
Darkthrone, is just all the songs are just a simple blast beat and two riffs just droning. Okay, so before we talk about favorite albums, we're going to talk about the future of black metal, or the scene today.
Yeah.
What do we think about it?
Well, it's not just Norway anymore.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That's for sure.
The French have their own scene with some good bands.
A lot of good French bands.
The Americans have some good bands.
There's also a very exciting scene in Poland.
In
Poland,
at the moment,
yeah.
right. Matuszka,
Um,
fake Tuszka.
Also fake Turka. Mugwa. So a lot of great music coming from there.
or Eastern Europe,
Yeah,
basically.
and from Ukraine.
Yeah, 1914.
There's
That's a good one. It's Ukraine or Poland, I think.
Right.
I'm not sure, but a really good band.
Okay, so what's going on in Norway then?
Symphonic,
Yeah.
symphonic black metal, enslavement, more death metal.
Right. So it's still dominated by those veteran bands.
Yeah,
Not
they
really.
it just seems that they kind of embraced a new sound within the genre,
Right.
which is the symphonic stuff,
Hmm.
and also better production.
Yeah, indeed. So I'd like to mention that black metal is kind of a lone wolf soundtrack, and on well, not SoundCloud, but maybe there as well. But on Bandcamp, you have a lot of do-it-yourself artists, just guys sitting like a bedroom warriors, as they're called, kind of making all themselves and programming drums, and you have a lot of atmospheric black metal bands that can be good one-man bands. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think another genre that's kind of blended with black metal is the doom metal sounds. You see a lot of black metal bands also implement doom stuff.
Yeah.
And some of the black metal guys ended up doing doom stuff, like drone music.
Yeah.
Like for instance, Sono.
Yeah. Experimenting.
Yeah.
So what's the future then of black metal?
It's hard to say.
Hard to say.
Some fans will still just listen to the old stuff because newer stuff isn't good, at least in their opinion. And other guys will continue to experiment, find new styles. Like we have black and roll,
Yeah.
which is a new thing with bands like Kvelertak.
Yeah, that's kind of bringing a bit of black metal into rock and roll,
Yeah.
mainstream heavy metal.
And I think a lot of bands will follow in their footsteps, maybe.
Right, so favorite albums. Let's have a round of favorites.
Yeah, one of my early favorites from when I was like really young, I discovered a record that's called Revelations of Reckoning Day by a band called Iskall.
Okay.
Right.
Ice cold in English.
Norwegian we would say Iskald.
It's like this coffee is becoming
It's
frostbitten coffee.
ice coffee. Yeah.
It's just a really solid black metal album. Some of the songs are in English, some of them are in Norwegian.
Right.
The kind of blends.
That's a newer album.
I don't remember the year actually, but I think I think it's like the second album from the band. So I think it's new in
2010, 12.
Maybe like 2008, maybe.
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay.
But check it out. It sounds good.
We'll put a
The Orphanage.
I really like the band Bride, the band after Winder, after Varför died.
Right.
And I think it's pretty cool they still are doing something, even though their vocalist tragically died. Was it 2004?
I'm not sure. It was around there, 2004 or between 2004 and 2006, I think.
Yeah. And I really like their album. What's it called? I told you.
Milord.
Milord, yeah. So check that out. That's a really good album. It's about a lot of war and
Second World War in Norway.
Yeah, it's a lot about the Norwegian resistance during the war.
So check that out.
We'll put a clip right here. Right.
Later, Vride stuff is also a good example for black and roll.
Black and roll. Right. Yeah.
One of my favorites is Tåkes Håvard Björgvin gråtar himmerik. It's
a great one. What type of music is that? Type of black metal?
Well, it's they have a distinct feel to them. The riffs are always there's a lot of movement. There's never a boring moment.
Right.
As opposed to the droning and
like Transylvanian Hunger.
Yeah, always.
So it's more shifting, more technical without being like.
It's not super technical, but more technical and I don't know, maybe more refined than earlier.
Yeah. And that's also from.
It's late 90s or very early 2000s, I think.
Yeah. Alright, so my favorite would be a Dark Throne album from '95 called Panzerfaust. And it has this distinct ugly production. It's not just poor production, it's ugly, it's just offensive to the ears.
Yeah.
And so is the vocals, that's just the ugliest vocals on any album.
So it's
yeah, it's just yeah, I'll put it and
amazing stuff.
But it has the primitive riffs with tremolo and blast beats, and it also has groovy parts like quintessence. That's a great groove, and it also has these beautiful melancholy melodies as well. So it's a good package of the good stuff from black metal.
Yeah.
Just mixing all the fundamental parts
Yeah.
of the genre.
So that's black metal in
Yeah.
Norway.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.